Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Final Fantasy IX because for the last 2 years, there have been a lot of very mysterious leaks pointing at the fact that there is a Final Fantasy IX remake that definitely exists. But according to information from very good sources, it seems like it's not going to be what Square Enix has been doing with the FF7 remake trilogy. Instead of stretching out and adding stuff to it, the talk is that the Final Fantasy IX remake is just going to be the same game with incredible art, with some of the best music in the entire series, with the incredibly cool leveling system. But now, instead, it's just going to be more beautiful, voice acting, and some extra stuff. But let's take a look at it because Square Enix just talked FF9, and I think they're pointing at a July release date. But let me talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Oh man, I gotta be honest, waking up to this is, you have no idea how happy I am. Final Fantasy IX is legitimately one of my favorite games of all time, and more than that, Final Fantasy IX is fantastic even among the crazy legacy of classic Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy IX is a game that has such a dark story and such a cool exploration of concepts like war and family and finding yourself, but they just said this. July marks the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy IX, and we're celebrating early with this brand new artwork of Zidane, Garda, and Vivi. Now, this is what they put on the American account. And when you first see it, you're like, that's pretty cool. We don't really see them acknowledge Final Fantasy IX very much, and typically, Square Enix doesn't talk about their games with new art because that does cost money unless they're doing something with it. Well, on the Japanese account, they said a lot more. They said, hey, this is the beginning of a big celebration for the 25th anniversary, so we're launching a new webpage that has all sorts of stuff. Now, the thread in Japanese talks about action figures, about new art, about plushies and dolls and stuff like that, saying this is going to be a long celebration. But first off, let's just acknowledge the fact that this has 20,000 likes. It shows the fact that people are very diehard in love with this game. But this, to me, these figurines and stuff, I think it's really showing the fact that they're about to really begin the big media blitz. Now, how do we know this is leading to a remake? How is everybody so certain in a remake actually existing? Well, it's because of the Nvidia leak. So, a little over 2 years ago, a dude was making a game. Very common, but when he turned it in for approval, essentially, when you're making something, you turn it in for certification. You give the programming to, Nvidia, you give it to AMD, you give it to PlayStation, to Nintendo. It's called certification. It basically proves, hey, this isn't going to fry PCs. Allow me to release it, right? Well, when he submitted this, it accidentally kicked back a master list. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games that at the time were not released, were not confirmed. About 60% of the list we knew, but at the time, there was a ton of stuff that just didn't exist. A Chrono Cross remaster, Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to PC, stuff like Kingdom Hearts 4, a new strategy game, which turned out to be Diafield Chronicle. But what's interesting is that on that list was Final Fantasy IX Remake, and also Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, which we also haven't seen, but I'm ready for that. But this 9 remake really kicked off a lot of conversation about what it would be. Not just how it would look, not just that, but people actually saying, what would it be? Final Fantasy IX is a game that very much stands apart from the other entries. Every single Final Fantasy has a different combat style. Even sequels tend to have different combat from Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy 13 too has different combat from Final Fantasy 13. But even among that, Final Fantasy IX has always had the craziest visual presentation. So a lot of people have said, okay, if we're getting a remake, that highly stylized look is essential to preserve. Some people have kind of complained, and it's a very tiny group, but I have seen some people say that they miss the charm of the PlayStation 1. That whenever they remake games, for the most part, 99% of the time, if you take something that had chibis or little tiny specific overacted emphasis of facial details to get a point across, when they remake it, they just go hyper-realism. Here's just all the characters if they were normal human adults. Where with 9, that's definitely not what they were trying to get across. The characters have big, goofy hands that do random backflips. And I mean, there's all sorts of people that have no faces. Like Vivi's face is just a shadow because he's a classic black mage. I want to see if this remake, when it comes out, how close it is to the original vibe. But I want to actually take a look at something here. Just for funsies, I pulled this tweet up right before bed. I want to refresh this and look at some of the replies. I'm always interested whenever a really big piece of news drops late night. I kind of love to see how people react to it as they wake up. Okay, everybody's saying it is definitely the remake. If it's a remake, please don't cut it up into sevens or butcher the story to make your episodes make sense. That's not how games are meant to be played. We need the remake. I'm just over here pouring it out, expecting a remake. Oh man, I'm so freaking excited. The best Final Fantasy, awesome. Final Fantasy IX still holds up. I'm excited to see what Square Enix has planned for the anniversary, hoping for some cool collectibles. Now, there have been multiple major leaks besides just the Nvidia leak. A lot of the most reputable leakers have been talking about the Final Fantasy IX remake because people have been concerned about the silence. The fact that Square Enix, for as much as money as they're dumping into Final Fantasy with FF16, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, some people have been afraid, okay, we have been getting a lot of remasters. We got the Tactics Ogre remaster and stuff, but people have basically been worried because, by their own admission, Square Enix has been canceling a lot of projects. But thankfully, some leakers, including Midori, this dude, I think at one point he was pretending to be a lady, so some of these use female pronouns here, but basically, he said, okay, according to my sources, the Final Fantasy IX remake, there is a bunch of canceled games inside of Square Enix, but the good news is, this is still survived. Apparently at one point it was being outsourced, they just wanted to make a better, basic, bare bones version, and Square Enix said, okay, this isn't good enough. We're going to do this ourselves, and it's going to be awesome. This changes studio. The studio is now set to release the game in 2025. Apparently, the idea is that instead of making this the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, they're going to make it a more traditional remake, meaning that it will have updated graphics, but largely stick to the original story, the distinctive style, so don't expect the likes of Zidane or Vivi to be reduced to realistic body proportions. Oh, thank God. Honestly, it feels like 2025 is really starting to heat up. If this actually is being talked about today, I think it has a purpose. On the 2nd, April 2nd, we're about to get the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And it's pretty obvious that's going to be an internet-breaking event. I'm going to stream it. It's going to be fun. But a lot of people are thinking, okay, what is it that they're going to do that's so insane? What can possibly happen that's going to be more than just, here's Mario Kart 9. Here's the next big crazy Zelda. A lot of people are saying, okay, where's the third-party support? The big downside of the original Nintendo Switch launch, in my opinion, and I really, really hated it at the time, there was not enough third-party games on the Nintendo Switch at launch. So I think they're trying to remedy that with the Nintendo Switch 2. And I think starting off saying, hey, here's a big Final Fantasy remake that everybody's been wanting running on the Switch 2, I think that could be a good way to absolutely blow minds. So not only do I think the Final Fantasy IX remake definitely exists, I think we're about to see it, literally, in the next 48 hours. But that's just been my off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about Final Fantasy IX Remake? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. Oh my God, you have no idea. Oh God, I literally just woke up. I woke up and I immediately saw all the news and I was like, I gotta talk about this. This is way too cool. Oh man, it feels so good.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.